Welcome, Flyers fans. You're listening to Chris Mayer, Flyers Fan Mania 93 on YouTube.
All right, so I'm not sure how many people are actually going to agree with me on this, but honestly, I feel like that was the best Flyers game of this season. Like, there's been other ones, obviously, like if you're looking at goals and then just kind of, a couple blowout wins against Seattle and New Jersey, there's other games like that. Game early in the season against Boston. Obviously, the home opener was a thriller, and there were a couple other games that they lost in there. Maybe that game against Calgary back in November. But if I'm being honest, this was probably the best Flyers game of the season. And I say that in different areas. Obviously, the Flyers, they had a good start. They scored a handful of goals in this game. It was a good game overall, right? The crowd, there was a big crowd today. The game was on ABC, so that kind of added some stuff into it on the TV side of things, having it nationally televised. And again, different areas, and what I mean by that is there was scrums, there was some good hits, there was a good energy. The Flyers, it was a passionate game from today from this Flyers team, and what Mike Gill was kind of talking about, he didn't really love the way that they played, and there's a different, he was trying to reach a different level with them, that it's, if something kind of happens in the room, and Provorov was kind of talking about this too, if something gets said to you, don't take it as an insult, they're just, you know what I mean? So things like that. And I think the Flyers did a really good job of kind of continuing that throughout the game. I mean, look, the second period wasn't great. Really, it's been an issue all year. But one thing I will say is they came out in the third and really dominated. I mean, Chicago didn't have many looks in that third period. And obviously it starts off, the Flyers get a little bit of a boost in the lineup as Kevin Hayes comes back. It was his decision to come back. And I thought Hayes looked really good. If I'm being honest, he looked very, very good in this game. Giroux with Lawton and Konechny, that was the first line today. Farabee, Brassard, Atkinson, which is the Fab line, as everybody kind of wanted to call that earlier in the year. Earlier in camp, it was different because you had Lindblom on that line, so it was a little bit different. Then they switched it up, and they kind of obviously broke away from Brassard being injured, but they go back to that. Lindblom with Hayes and JVR, Willman, Brown, and McEwen. Provorov and Braun, Sanheim, Risto, Yano, and Kanon, and then Jones was in net for this one. So again, as I said, the Flyers played really good early. They were all over Chicago. They got pucks in. It seemed like every time Chicago would dump it, nobody was there for them, and the Flyers were kind of just get out of the zone with ease, turn that into offense. They had a handful of good shots early. At one point, the shots were 7-2 in favor of the Flyers. Fourth line had a good shift, a nice shift by the first line, then the Flyers get a goal. Really good shift by the Hayes line. It was a shot from Sanheim, tipped home from Lindblom, and Lankinen looked shaky early, and I was saying that, and I tweeted it. I was like, if they keep kind of just, chucking pucks at the net, might be able to get something going, and that one gets tipped home. Then the Flyers get a power play. Giroux tried the bank pass. It was a play where, again, it's very similar to one of the first goals Giroux scored of the season. The play from Coots off the wall to Giroux, but Giroux tried it the other way for Farabee on the right side there, and rolled over his stick. But it was a good power play. Hayes had a chance in close as well. Willman and Giroux had a 2-on-1. Fourth line had a good chance. Hawks had a couple chances late. Jones had a nice save on Strome. And then they hit the post, and Jones may have got a piece of it at the buzzer. And then starting in the second period, I didn't necessarily love the last couple minutes of the period of the first for the Flyers. But again, they bent, but they didn't break at that point. And then 24 seconds in, it's 1-1 to break it clean off the draw. Flyers get a power play, too many men. On Chicago. That would actually be their first of too many men penalties of this game, and I'll talk about the second one later. Good chance in close for Hayes, almost went in. Hayes had a pass for Farabee that rolled away in close, and then good shift by the Brassard line. They won a couple battles, but that was probably the best Flyers shift of that second period. They didn't have really much going. Territorial advantage went to Chicago. They had more plays where they just kind of cycled around in the zone, and they ended up getting a couple goals. The 2-1 goal from Strome was, I think there was a lot of different things wrong with this one. First, the turnover in the offensive zone, the Giroux pass to Lawton, and then Giroux actually went off so that they were already undermanned. Then Ristolainen went for a hit, missed, and Lawton missed Strome going to the net. Same with, because Giroux, changing and everything. It was just a whole miscommunication there. And Strom scores. It was a beautiful pass by Kane, and it's 2-1. Jones had a good save on a partial breakaway from Kane. If he didn't fumble the puck, it would have been a clear breakaway, and I don't know if he would have scored. That could have made it a different ending, but Flyers score, and then, again, there was a scrum a little bit before that with Brassard and DeHaan, and the Flyers scored. It was a play where they tried to rim it around the wall, and it came off the wall weird. Atkinson dropped past to Farabee, right back over to Cam, slam dunk, and scrum ensued after Flyers got a power play. Didn't really do anything. That was probably their worst power play of the game. Thought the power play did look good. Hayes was used in that area. Yo had talked about before the game he didn't know PK yet, and obviously they didn't use him in the PK. I would assume he gets back to that soon. But again, Flyers didn't really do much there, and then it was just a classic turnover on the 3-2 goal, and it's a play from Willman where you kind of I want to just see Max chip that out or tip it. If anything, obviously he didn't necessarily realize that Strome was right there. It was a turnover on the wall, and Braun did the best he could pretty much. And Jones was kind of left out to dry there as well, because again, the turnover in the zone, and Giroux had a chance right after the goal, but third period would start. Flyers get an early goal from Brassard. That was his 199th career goal. It was a clear 3-on-2 rush, and the Flyers capitalized on it. It was just a play. Farabee dropped pass. Brassard was a little bit open. Atkinson found him. It was a beautiful finish there. Just rolled over the line. I don't know if that will be Farabee's goal, because it didn't look like it was over the line completely. That might get changed later on tonight, but nevertheless, it doesn't matter. Flyers tie the game. Hayes had a nice hit behind the net. The game was getting chippy. There was some hits, some physical play. Then the Flyers score. Atkinson scores. It was just a weird play. I didn't necessarily really... I honestly didn't even know it went in. I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and I'm like, they just scored. And, the puck just went in. Everybody started cheering the horn off. I'm like, okay. I didn't even realize it went in. I thought it hit the glass behind the net. But Atkinson scores, shot from the slot off a neutral zone turnover. Again, didn't look like Lankinen saw it, and that's his 20th of the year. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because I think that's really important. The hit after the hit before Connaughton taking down Doc, he ends up on top of him. And then Doc takes a run at Connaughton and finishes his check above. It looked like it was an elbow. I feel like it should have been a penalty. It wasn't. I was very surprised it wasn't. It either could have been an elbow or an illegal check to the head. I was, again, very surprised that they didn't call that. And then there was a huge scrum after. And that's what you'd expect. Like, a guy like Connaughton gets hit like that. You see Giroux dropping the gloves. You see Ristolainen's in there causing havoc. Konechny, Lawton, Sanheim. Like, it's things like that we haven't seen throughout the entire year. And that's why I think this was one of the best games that they played in every aspect of it. You're not going to dominate every 60 minutes. They had a rough period. They were still in the game. They came back. They got 2 goals. They stood up for their teammates. Goaltender played well when he needed to, and they got the win. Like, that's something you haven't seen from the Flyers all year. And 5-on-4 late. Lindblom looked like he got tripped, or looked like he got injured, he was tripped. High stick Jones, I'm really hoping nothing comes out of that, because it looked like he could have pulled something bad the way he kind of went down and went into the boards. So hopefully nothing's bad there. And Lindblom actually high stick Jones at the same time there. So that was a 4-minute double minor. Then that canceled out, so it was only 5-on-4. Really good PK. Patient. They did a really good job. It wasn't anything crazy. DeBrincat had a shot, but that was really it. Hawks pulled the goalie, and then they have a too many men penalty again. Instead of 6, they have 7. Instead of 5 before, they had 6. It's like it just. And the other night, the announcer was saying they had two the same penalties, too many men against Edmonton, and that was it. Flyers killed the clock. Didn't really give the Hawks much late. Really good effort. And what I was saying about Atkinson earlier, that's a positive you can build on. Like I've talked about it before, there aren't many other positives that they're trying to build on, and they were trying to find what you can build on. Carter Hart having a good year this year, as much as the numbers obviously will probably say differently, he's been very good for this team, for what the team has gone through. It's been, really bad, and Hart's been one of the positive aspects of it. Atkinson getting 20 goals, I think, is a huge thing. If you remember last year, it was like, what do you is a similar thing, like, what do you kind of grab out of this year? Farabee had 20 last year. Atkinson with 20 this year. Like, it's things like that you want to be able to build on, because in 1920, the Flyers had 5 guys have 20 goals. So it's things like that you want to be able to build on. I think Atkinson getting 20 is huge. I think the way the Flyers stuck up for their teammates today, they played really well. And again, it's not saying that they didn't do it before, but it's something we haven't necessarily seen as much where everybody's involved in the scrum and things like that because of a hit like that. So again, I really do think this is one of their best games of the season, if not the best. But, let me know what you guys think below. Remember, thank you to SeatGeek and to Garrett Group Construction for all the support there with the sponsors. Links to them will be in the description below. And again, any merchandise, if you guys want to check that out, that link will always be in the description below, as always. And if you did not listen to the episode, the podcast with Zach Ronaldo, really good episode. A lot of good talk there. You can go check that out. Thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you all again soon.